Brand new for the 2025 model year is the Cadillac Optiq. There are 4 primary trim levels in Canada and the States, and the 2 trim levels slightly different. With this one being the Sport, it just gives it some different exterior elements that you won't find in the Luxury. But if you compare the Luxury 1 to the Sport 1, Luxury 2 to the Sport 2, the feature sets are the exact same between them otherwise. Pricing for the Optiq in Canada starts at around $63,400 versus $55,600 down in the US, with the price going up depending on whether you're in the 1 versus the 2, your exterior color choices, your wheels, and even what's going on inside. This one is in the Argent Silver Metallic, or Argent, if you want to sound a little bit fancy. But where this one is kind of unique is what's going on inside, because it's got the available Phantom Blue interior. Across the entire Optiq lineup, the default wheel size is going to be a 20-inch, and then there's the option of upgrading to different style 20 or 21-inch. And the dark 21-inch wheels, I absolutely love them. I like the way that Cadillac's done the logo in the very middle of that wheel too. Then looking at the drivetrain inside of the Optiq, you're only going to find it all-wheel drive, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing. That dual motor setup does give you more horsepower and torque in comparison to just a rear wheel or an all-wheel drive setup. It would come at obviously a little bit of a sacrifice to the overall range, but it's still pretty good here. And let's do a little test just for some responsiveness. Ooh. That's good. All right, that's fine. All right, and let's do a 180 here. Okay, turning radius is pretty good. Back up to speed. I love that sound. This is fun. This is a nice car. Charging for the Optiq is done along the driver's side. You just press on the Cadillac logo for it to pop open, and it has support for level 1, level 2, and for level 3 DC supercharging, with the max charge rate for level 3 being capped at 150, which, I mean, that's still pretty solid. Like, the only battery choice you're gonna find inside of the Optiq is 85 kilowatt hours, so it does have a pretty decent battery to the vehicle. So if you look at the charge times, I don't have a level 2 charge station at home, so to go from 0 to 100% for me, in ideal conditions, looking at about 85 hours. Level 2 charge stations, if you go for one that, let's say, is 10 kilowatt hour draw, you're looking at about 8 hours to go from 0 to 100%. And then that level 3, if you're maxing out, you're gonna get her done in about 30-ish, 35 minutes or so, which is still pretty respectable. Then inside of the Optiq, you are going to find a 20-foot charge cable right from the factory. And it's got support for both level 1 and for level 2. You can easily swap out the tips in order to go one way or the other. Looking at the overall range inside of the Optiq, it's 486 kilometers or around 302 miles. But that's going to depend on a few factors. It is beautiful outside right now. So spring, summer, fall driving, you're going to get ideal conditions. But when you get into the winter time, charging, general rule of thumb, takes about 20% longer, and your range is negatively impacted 20 to 25-ish%. Then closing, you could grab this and manhandle if you like, but there's a button along the top you can push in order to close. The front end style of the Optiq is incredibly unique. You're going to find LED headlamps inside of the ride regardless of which trim level that you're looking at. But inside of the Sport 2 and the Luxury 2, there are slimline LEDs instead, and the style of the LEDs at night, I personally love them. And then there is so much technology you're going to find inside of the ride. So there's going to be adaptive, normal, and Super Cruise, so that's full hands-free driving. There's a forward park sensing system along with a front-facing camera. So there is a full surround view monitor or 360 view inside of this ride, and the quality of it is fantastic. Even at night when 360 cameras or backup cameras usually don't have the best quality, this one kind of bucks the norm on that one, which is fantastic. There's only a single power choice available inside of the Optiq, and you're gonna find a dual motor setup, so it's all-wheel drive, pushes out 300 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque. It's a blast. And we've got to get up to highway speed here. So let's go in 3, 2, and 100. Oh, that's fun. So is it the most powerful car that you're going to find, the most powerful electric? No, not at all. But I mean, the performance there is good. And that's the thing, like 354 pound-feet of torque, that is a heck of a lot of power, especially depending on what you're driving. But most cars, crossovers, and SUVs typically are around the 200 to 250 range. So this is 354 pound-feet of torque. So it doesn't have so much acceleration that it throws you back into your seat, but it's got more than enough to give you a little bit of a smile if you need to get ahead of somebody as necessary. Underneath the hood of the Optiq, there's no frunk space available inside of this ride whatsoever. So it's more like an internal combustion setup there, and there's no cover at all. So you pop this open, you see everything. If you need to, you can easily top up your fluids along the right-hand side. But outside of that, there's not as much maintenance you need to do looking at electrics compared to the internal combustion counterparts. If you're kind of an aggressive driver, you might have to replace the tires and brakes a little bit more often, but outside of that, minimal maintenance, which is ideal. But as a Cadillac owner, you do get 4 years of coverage there for the general maintenance. On top of that, the warranty is going to be a 4-year coverage for your basic, with all of the electric components getting covered for 8 years, which I think is pretty solid. It would have been nice to see a little bit of frunk space, but you get more than enough space inside of this ride. And looking at the size of the Optiq, I'm 6 feet tall and kind of towering over this car. It's not tall by any stretch. Hopping inside. Nice and spacious inside of the first. Get to that in a second. And then second row, equally as easy to get inside of. And you are going to find assist handles across most doors. So first row for the passenger, and for the second row passenger, and then second row driver. The Optiq does feature a walkaway lock, so as long as you've got the fob on you, walk away, doors will lock, and then you can easily control everything, including rolling down the windows using the fob. You can see there, power folding side view mirrors with turn signals built in. They're heated, they're auto dimming, and there's also a blind spot monitoring system with a side mounted camera. Hopping inside, look at this loud interior. Get to that in a second, but you've got this interesting like cloth material along the top part of the door. Spacing inside of the ride, so hold on. Okay, so the driver's seat as far down as it's gonna go. I've got 3.5, maybe 4 inches of headspace. So if you're 6'4", you should be okay sitting in the first row of this ride, maybe a bit taller, just reclining your seat. But the seat comfort's there. The style though is so funky because I'm a big fan of blue seats, blue interiors, I should say, exteriors, but this is so loud. I don't know if I'm crazy about that carpeted design along the dash. What do you think? Looking at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Cadillac Optiq. It's a similar setup that you're going to find in a number of other Cadillac and GM vehicles, but let's dive in and I'll show you everything that you need to know. First thing to point out is that the steering wheel across the entire lineup is going to be manual telescoping. In order to adjust it, down by your left knee, there's a release there, so where that would sit, drop down, and then telescoping, so in, out, up and down. Find that perfect position. Once you do, click it in order to lock it back into place. And there are so many different buttons and stalks. We'll start off along the left-hand side by your left knee. You've got a series of different buttons. So this is your parking brake, so just tap to turn it on. You've got to push and hold the brake pedal while you push again in order to turn it off. You can open and close the liftgate. There's the auto hold setting too. So with this one enabled, if you come down to a complete stop, you take your foot off the brake, the car is not going to move. From there, you can also increase or decrease the brightness of the cluster screen. You're also going to find the option of adjusting your seats out easily along the outside here. So you could toggle on your heat specifically for the upper cushion, for the upper and the lower cushions, or ventilated seats with 3 unique levels for all of them. You've also got driver's seat memory here too. So what you're going to do is set your driver's seat up the way that you'd like to. Once you've got it set up perfectly for you, you're going to tap set, and then either 1 or 2 for it to remember your own personal profile. So if somebody's adjusted the seat out, you just push and hold in order to be able to recenter you back in. There's also this little dial. So this one, if you push in the middle, that is going to be for massage chair seats. You can toggle it on that way. You can also rotate it or move up and down in order to adjust things out. And where that comes into play is inside of the infotainment system. So you can see there, as we're moving between, you've got your lumbar roll. So you could go for different options for the massage chair seats, or push the button in the middle in order to be able to toggle that massage chair seat on or off. And then you've got a series of different stalks that are available. So the one along the left-hand side is going to be for your blinkers. So blink left versus blink right. You've also got the option of flashing your high beams out, but we're in the auto headlamp mode right now. So inside of the infotainment system, if you go into your controls, more controls, and then lights, that gives you a boatload of options. So you could put yourself in the auto high beam mode. I recommend doing that with yourself in the auto headlamp mode, because what that means is that if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed, turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it turns them off before turning them right back on again. If you wanted to permanently lock your high beams out, you can be in the bottom mode there. You can then push away in order to toggle them on, pull towards you in order to toggle them off. So you can get to your different light modes this way for your headlamps. But on the outside of the cluster screen, you've got all of these other options. If you tap the little light option there, you could also move between all of the available light modes. So again, auto mode the majority of the time, unless you want your high beams permanently locked out. But like I said, auto mode is the way to go. There's a button on the tip of the left stick. If you tap it, that's going to be a single wipe. If you push and hold it, that's going to be for your wiper fluid. You could then use the rocker in the middle there to adjust out your variable speed. And then you're going to use the one along the right-hand side in order to get your rear camera wiper going. You've got your shifter along the right-hand side, so just hit the brake, pull in to go into neutral, flip up to get into reverse, in and down in order to get into drive, so it's simple. But the camera that you get inside of this ride is fantastic. And then just a button on the tip of the stick there in order to put yourself back into park. You've got this paddle along the left-hand side, so it's not a paddle as in like a paddle shifter, but it's essentially a different type of regenerative braking. So inside of the infotainment system here, you've got the option of toggling one pedal drive on off, and there are different levels that are available. But using this, that's essentially one pedal drive, so you're forcing regenerative braking this way. So you can push and hold the paddle along the left-hand side there, and it's going to slow you down as if you were having regenerative braking going. Eventually what's going to happen is it's going to get you to a complete stop and then put you into the auto hold mode. So the auto hold setting, if you take your foot off the brake when you come down to a stop, the vehicle is not going to move whatsoever. And then you've got so many different buttons. So the ones along the right-hand side, you've got this as a basic OK button. So if you ever get any sort of messages inside of the cluster screen, you could hit the button in the middle in order to act as OK. You can also go up or down for it to act as a basic seek button too. And then from there, you've got your volume rocker, so you can go audio up and down this way. And then just down by your right knee, there's also the option of adjusting your audio this way, pushing the button in order to mute out. From there, a boatload of other options. So if you've got presets set up inside of the infotainment system, you can go up and down this way in order to move between all of your available presets that have been set up. You could either hang up or answer a phone call. You can hit here in order to go to all of your available sources. So AM, FM, SiriusXM, USB, etc. You just push in order to OK out to whatever source that you'd like. And then you've also got this one, which is a voice command prompt. So you'd be able to do things like change stations. You can navigate using your voice. You could change your climate using your voice, adjust your fan speed, and so many things. So I know you've got all of your different dials there, but if you're driving, you just don't want to take your hands off the steering wheel, using this to adjust things out is an incredibly useful setting. Then along the outside here, you've got the buttons for cruise control, and there are 3 different types of cruise. So you're going to find normal cruise, adaptive cruise, and then super cruise, which is full hands-free driving. So you can toggle the cruise control system on this way. Once it's toggled on, you then push down to set your speed. You could push up or down lightly in order to increase, decrease 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time. Push and hold up or down, so a bigger click up and down to go 5 or 0 up. So it brings you to the next 5 or 0. So let's say if you're at 47, push up, it'll go 50, 55, 60, etc. Back down the other way. You can hit the brake to cancel your speed. You could then hit the cancel button to cancel your speed, and then you just push up to resume your previously set speed. Like I said, 3 different types of cruise. So as a default, you're going to have the adaptive cruise system going. But if you take the cancel button there, if you push and hold it, that's going to put you into regular cruise control. So that old school cruise. So you set it at, let's say 80, car in front of you slows down, yours will not brake. So it's old school cruise versus the adaptive cruise control system. If the car in front of you slows down after you've set your speed, it's automatically going to slow you down based off of the gap that you've set. So there are 3 unique levels for the gap adjustment. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. So how close or far are you from that leading vehicle? I'm personally okay on level 1 most of the time, but you might be okay on level 2 or 3, depending on your own personal comfort level. And then you've got Super Cruise. So Super Cruise, if it's available, there'll be a little steering wheel that shows up in the bottom of the cluster screen, and then you just tap in order to turn it on. If it's available, this part of the steering wheel goes green, and then it's full hands-free driving at that point. So you can take your hands off the steering wheel, you can take your feet off the gas and the brake, the car is going to do everything for you. There's even the option of having it do an auto lane change. So if it recognizes it with Super Cruise enabled, it can change lanes for you automatically, or you can hit the turn stalk in order for it to change lanes for you too. It's a phenomenal system, but if you actually want to walk through live demonstration of how to use the cruise control system, you'll find that down in the description of this video. And along the outside of the screen, you've got a series of other options available. So you can change between different looks, but if you're on your basic gauge view, you can hit this arrow in order to go between either sport or touring. You can link it to your drive mode. So if you're in a different drive mode, that's going to have it set at a certain look. So if we link to the drive mode for a second, and then as you change between your drive modes there, so go to sport mode for a sec, you'll see there, it changes up the look. So you've got the flexibility of linking it to a drive mode if you'd like to, or permanently locking it out to one of the other modes. So if you love the economy that you get out of the touring mode, but you love the look of the sport mode, you can lock it out there. And there you've got your basic energy view. So if you have a preference and you just want to see all of your basic energy information, you could do a full map in cluster view too. So if you have a route going, navigate to Tim Hortons.
There's a Tim Hortons 0.3 kilometers away.
There we go. So we've got our route going there. If you had a head-up display inside of your ride, that would also show up inside of the head-up display. But I mean, I love the look there. Full mapping cluster view is great. You could go to a basic driving assistance view. So if you've got the Super Cruise system enabled, lane markings are recognized, those go green. You've got your turn-by-turn directions there. You can go more of like a minimalist view if you'd prefer that, but I'm typically on the basic gauge view because you could still see your turn-by-turn directions there if they were available. But having those different meter views, really neat. You can tap this in order to adjust out different layouts. You can adjust out your head-up display. So do you want to rotate it, so left versus right? You can move it up or down, or you can also adjust the brightness. I always recommend though, just keeping the head-up display on maximum brightness, or you could toggle the head-up display off completely. Hitting this again, you can adjust out your trip counters. So you've got your basic trip counter there. You can swipe across in order to go to trip 1 versus trip 2, or do a blank screen, and then push and hold in order to reset your efficiency that way. Swapping out to any of these other looks. Then you can adjust out here in order to get to your different headlights. So you could adjust it out through the infotainment system, but being able to just reach over here and turn into any of the other modes is pretty useful. There's also a little gauge on the outside there, so your energy usage. Inside of the infotainment system, if you go to your vehicle status, you've got tire pressure, energy info, and things like that, but you can add these into the cluster screen. So if you wanted your energy information there, you can add it in. If you wanted to have your energy efficiency, your air quality, etc. But if you have something that you've added in, if you remove it from the display, that's going to give you your date and time. Inside of the actual cluster on the main view, you've got which direction you're facing, your current odometer, if you're ready to drive, if you've got cruise control turned on versus normal or adaptive cruise, whether or not the lane keeping system's enabled. You've got your power gauges there. So the top one here is going to be your power gauge. The bottom one is going to be your regen braking. So think of the up gauge there as if it was a traditional tachometer. So you put your foot down, depending on how fast you're going or how fast you're speeding up, that's going to go up. As you slow down, this one is going to start dropping down. And what that's doing is capturing regenerative braking. So if you've got the one pedal drive on, take your foot off the brake, you're going to drop down this way. If you use the paddle along the left-hand side, so push and hold, you'll notice that drops down even faster in order to essentially maximize the regenerative braking capabilities. And there you've got your speedometer, your current battery level too, what gear you're in, so park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then you've also got your basic audio along the right-hand side with the flexibility of being able to move into all of your available audio sources. This is the infotainment system that you're going to find inside of the Cadillac Optiq and a few other Cadillac vehicles. In this video, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know. Now, first thing is that you might see me moving around the screen by touching it, but you might actually see the screen moving around without me touching it, and that's because there are a series of controls underneath the screen here. So just on the console, you'd be able to adjust the volume this way if you'd like. You can push in the middle to pause. You could do a button push to get to your audio, answer or hang up on a phone call. You can move into navigation. There's a back button, get back home, and then there's a dial there that you can use. So you can push in the middle as an OK button, and then you can move across this way, moving up and down throughout the screen by moving it up and down too. So if you just see the screen moving around without me touching it, that's the reason why. So let's dive in. This icon view can be customized. In order to customize it, if you push and hold any of the icons, that's going to loosen it up. And then you can drag these around to be in whichever order that you'd like them to be in. Straightforward there. And then along the very bottom, you've got your trays that are locked into place. So you've got a tray with your home button there. So if you're on any other screen, you can get to this little split screen too, which is kind of customizable. So if you hit the edit icon, you can put in any of these three options. But outside of that, those are the only choices for that screen. You can get into your audio, maps, phone here. If one was on the wireless charge pad, that would show up. So you can just pull the phone out. That message will go away for charging and then just drop back again in order to charge yourself up. There are charging options for the car, and then you've got a few other ones. So this one will allow you to turn the vehicle off. You can hit this one in order to keep the vehicle running for up to 60 minutes. Because if you were to not push this one and open up the door, it actually turns the car off. So by doing this one, you can keep the climate running and everything going up to 60 minutes. You can push this button there, and that's for the glove box. And then you can move between a few different options for one pedal drive. So you can have it off, normal, or high, and then whether or not that shows up on the screen. So you could have one pedal drive on where you take your foot off the accelerator, you slow down at which level, but you can also use the paddle along the left side. Along the bottom there, you can go into different driver profiles. The benefit of going into these profiles is that if you've got phones that have been connected, addresses searched for, preset set up, things like that, you'd be able to lock it in to any of these available profiles or create a new profile if you'd like to. You could also manage the profile, so manage accounts, and then the best part is security. So if multiple people are driving, or even honestly for just general security, you might want to put on a profile lock. So you could put on either a pattern, PIN, or a password so people couldn't just look through your profile without entering that information in. I'd personally go that route, but matter of preference. Back from there, you've got a series of different drive modes that are available too. So you've got your basic info screen in order to get an idea of what it does, but touring is where you're going to be. It's essentially like your normal drive mode. There's your sport mode, which is going to give you the best possible performance. You put your foot down and you're flying. You use more battery in this mode though. You've got your snow ice mode. It's going to play with traction stability control, and then you can customize your own mode. So your steering mode, do you want it to be more of like your touring, which is going to be like a normal steer, versus sport stiffens things up. What kind of acceleration do you want to? So you've got different options there. How do you want it to sound? So you've got the option of flipping in to different drive modes if you'd like. The majority of the time though, you're just going to be in the regular tour mode. My Cadillac is there. There is a Cadillac app that would let you do things through your phone. So things like preconditioning, lock, unlock, etc. You could go into your Google Assistant, so you can toggle it on that way. You can also hit the voice command prompt on the steering wheel to do that. The big benefit of using the Google Assistant or the voice assistant, you can do so many things. Watch this. Change fan speed to 2.
Okay, changing the fan speed to 2.
So you can adjust your fan speed, you can adjust the temperature, things like that, using your voice, and you've got all the dials down in the middle there. So you can change songs, radio stations, navigate using your voice, adjust the climate, and so many other things. So I'd actually recommend playing around with that a little bit because most things can be controlled using your voice. There's the Play Store available. All you're going to do is just sign in. So on your phone, you're just going to pull up your camera once you get that QR code. Launch in, and you're just going to log into your Google account. Once you do, it's asking, are you signing in? Yay, just a second there. And Boom, look at that. So what I've done is I've essentially connected my phone to the vehicle, and that helps out in a few different situations. So you'd be able to download additional apps directly to the vehicle now. So you could do all sorts of different apps. Waze is my favorite map application, so you could download that one. And there are a boatload of options that are available here. Google Chrome is available as an option. Different games that are available here too. Angry Birds. You can play inside of the vehicle too. So it's kind of neat. You've got a lot of different flexibility inside of this screen. And one of the benefits of being logged in through your Play Store is it actually helps out with maps, which I'll touch on as we jump in there. But Play Store is simple. You can download apps directly to the vehicle if you'd like. So downloading an additional app. Next up is going to be charging. So you've got the flexibility. When you actually plug in, do you want to charge now or do you want to charge later? When do you want to charge later? So maybe you're not going to get cheaper electricity rates until 7 o'clock at night. You can charge up at that point in time if you'd like to. And then your charge later, you've also got, hold on, let's, just so we're in the red or the green there, precondition too. So the benefit of having precondition turned on is that at the time when you typically leave, it's going to have the vehicle automatically either hot or cold for you. So rather than wasting the battery to get your vehicle up to the proper temp, it'll do it while you're plugged in. You can also say, take this and you can drag it around to say what you want to charge up until. So ideally, you're charging to around 80, 85% the majority of the time. If you're going on a distance trip and you need the range for next day, go to 100, that's not a problem. And then you can kind of do a fine tune this way if you'd like to. You can hit here in order to log into your Cadillac account. You can also create a schedule. So what you're gonna do is set your home location. There we go. And now you can set a schedule. So if you wanted to charge up certain times to a certain percentage, you've got that flexibility. So if you know Monday to Friday, you're gonna get cheap electricity rates at certain times, precondition at certain times, you've got the flexibility to set that up. And you can set up multiple schedules if you'd like to. So when do you wanna charge up? You could easily disable all of your schedules here too. Tapping into your little settings icon here, you could save different locations. There's fast charge prep too. So inside of the ride, you do have support for level 1, level 2, or for level 3 charging with 150 kilowatt max draw for the supercharging capabilities. You can also precondition. So if you're plugged in preconditioning, what temperature do you want the vehicle to be at when you hop in? It's the summertime right now, well, spring I should say, so I want it to be nice and cool for me when I hop inside the ride. But that's using charging. It's honestly really straightforward and easy to use. Back home, you've got your camera there. So that is a full 360 view, and the camera quality inside of this ride is phenomenal. There are different views for overhead. You can do side views. You've got a hitch view that's available there too. And you can hit this in order to show hide guidelines for the different views. Alexa's there. You've obviously got to be logged in. There are a boatload of different settings that I'll touch on last. There's ambient light inside of the ride too, so you can toggle it off completely, but you can set unique styles. So there are different color options that are available there. But I mean, the look at night, as you flip between these styles, you can create your own custom look if you want custom colors. So if you wanted to do that, so just custom style 1, 2, create a style. What do you want it to look like? What color do you want to have for the front versus the back? It is really neat. So you've got different accent colors that are available. You can adjust the brightness of the ambient light. You can change out the different styles and then different modes. So you can create your custom mode. There's a little demo cycle that kind of plays through all the modes there. Again, at nighttime, it looks really sharp. And then you can also link it to your drive mode. So as you move between different drive modes, so you go between your touring versus sport versus snow versus your my mode, it's going to change up the color of the ambient light. Or you can just leave it on your own custom color. There's also the option for park assist, so the vehicle can help out with both parallel park in and out. If you want to walk through and actually using the park assist system, you'll find that down in the description of this video. You're going to find climate options baked into the screen. You do have everything underneath the screen though. So toggling your climate control system on or off, putting it in auto mode, do you want to go into face feet? There's dual zone climate control there. Adjust your fan speed and a number of other things. So you've got the option of using it through this if you'd like to, so down low, or up high where you can sync up. You've got the option for different climate settings there too. There's a Wi-Fi hotspot available, and then you've also got audio too. And your audio sources, you've got AM, FM, SiriusXM, Bluetooth, USB is available there too. So just underneath, you've got your USB power points there that you're plugging yourself into in order to be able to use USB audio. SiriusXM's available there, and then a number of other things. So if we go into any of these sources, you can see all of your available preset pages. So you could, if you wanted to, tune to whatever station this way. You can star out if you wanted to save in different stations. So if you know that there are stations that you love to listen to, cycle through in order to be able to save them in. And then if we hop back, you can see all of the stations there that we've saved in. If you push and hold the station there, you could overwrite it as well. So you could easily adjust out your stations this way. You can tune to a station this way if you'd like to. But honestly, your best bet, if you don't have your preset set up, 107.1 FM.
Got it. This is 107.1 FM.
Just use your voice in order to change out stations. But you can see there, mix of AM, FM, and SiriusXM. You can play the artist station if it's available. Because it's SiriusXM, you can play and pause. You can look at different category views on top of that. And then you've also got this little feller, which is going to let you do tune to start. And then you've also got the option of subscribing to SiriusXM for more time if you'd like. You can hit this if you wanted to adjust some sound settings, adaptive volume, so as you go faster or slower, it can adjust your volume, or manage your favorites. So if you wanted to adjust out your favorites, you've got that flexibility. So if you've saved in different stations, you don't want to save them, you can adjust them out. It does create a hole in the middle. So what you can do is just kind of do a drag and drop in order to be able to adjust out any of these stations if you'd like to. And then there are a series of different sound settings. You can adjust out the treble, mid-range, and bass. That's actually a pretty good setup. What I'd recommend here is play one of your favorite songs and then adjust this out until it sounds perfect for you. So that first setup is good. I tend to find in most cars something kind of like this works. You might want your bass cranked a little bit more, but like I said, find the song that you love, adjust this out for you. Do you want it balanced and fade? Do you want it to focus on the driver, people in the back seat, etc.? You can adjust it out there or bring it back into the middle again. For your sound mode, do you want it front focused, rear focused? And then you can do stereo versus a more 3D immersive audio experience. But that's using audio. You've got Google Maps, and that's one of the big benefits. So it's Google-based operating system here, so you've got Google Maps built in. It's incredibly friendly and easy to use. But because I signed into my Google account, you've got this. So if you're not signed in, this wouldn't show up. But if you search for addresses on your phone and it's connected to your Gmail account, when you sign in here, it's going to pull every previous search that you've gone to right inside of the screen here. It's incredibly useful. You've got full pinch to zoom capabilities here. You can easily search for addresses this way. You can hit the voice command prompt. Navigate to Tim Hortons.
There's a Tim Hortons 0.3 kilometers away. Want to navigate there?
So choose one further away. The reason why I did this is because there are multiple ways that you can get there. So you can hit either start to go. You can hit this one now in order to be able to jump between different routes. So if you know that you want to go one route versus the other, you've got that option. You can tap route options. Do you want to avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, things like that? You can adjust this out easily. Select whichever route you'd like. From here, you could look at those different route options that were available again. You can search for an additional address if you'd like. So if you want to go to a charging station too, you can see which different charging stations are available. Just tap in order to add it in as a stop if you'd like to. And then you see there, we've got going to the charging station and then to Tim Hortons. So let's confirm for a second. If you go here, you can look at the different route options that are available, exit out of that, search for more options, or look at those destinations and you can edit your stops. So if you wanted to maybe go to Tim Hortons first, before you go to the charge station, you can do that. If you wanted to then remove an option, you could just tap done again, and then you're good to go. From there, if you just exit out, that's going to cancel out the route for you. You can search for addresses this way, look at charge stations, things like that. You've got your previously searched for destinations. Along the outside, you can tap there to search by your voice. You can hit the voice command prompt that way if you'd like to. You can tap the little settings icon to show traffic, guidance options, route options, so highways, toll roads, ferries. You can edit a home or work address, so you'll be able to hit that voice command prompt and say navigate home to work, etc. You could download offline maps. So if you know you're going somewhere where you're not going to get an active connection, you'd have the flexibility of being able to download those offline maps if you'd like. You can mute out notifications. Do you want either muted? Do you want to just get alerts? Or when you come to a turn in 300 meters, whatever the case may be. You can adjust up to different views this way. You can add in crashes, hazards, and things like that and give other people a heads up about what's going on along your route. But that's using factory nav inside of the ride, which means next up is going to be adding in a phone. Just going to tap on manage phones and then add phone. And there we go, we've got Cadillac showing up. So let's go ahead and connect through. Pin numbers match up. So let's go ahead and pair and pair. Do you want all the contacts and favorites to sync up? This is not my car, so I'm saying no to that one. And we are set to go here. So we're connected just over Bluetooth. So with the downside of the Optiq is that there's no Apple CarPlay, Android Auto support. So you'd be able to connect over Bluetooth, no problem, make phone calls, and you'd also be able to stream audio that way. You're just using Google Maps through the device, or if you've downloaded additional apps like Waze and things like that, you'd be able to use it right through the infotainment system here. You can hop back in order to see recents, contacts, favorites, or your keypad. So you can easily dial in this way if you'd like to, or now that we're connected over our phone, press there in order to be able to dial. If you do a long push and hold, that is going to activate your Siri assistant. So short button push is the assistant for the vehicle. Long button push is going to be the assistant for your phone. From there, you can tap swap phones now in order to get back up to your phone screen. So if you hit options, you can disconnect it, you can forget it, and then you've also got different connection types, so Bluetooth calling, media, etc. And you can also do first to connect if you've got multiple devices that you've connected to the vehicle. But that's how you set up Apple devices inside of the ride. Setting up Android devices is pretty simple. In order to do it, you're just going to tap on phone. If you've already got a phone connected, or if not, you can hit swap and you should end up on this screen. Just tap the little plus icon. And then if you don't have a phone connected, but we do, so just tap swap phone. And on your phone, all you're going to do, there we go, waiting for Cadillac to show up. Let's go ahead and connect. Pins match up, so let's go ahead and pair on the phone. Just takes a second there. Do you want all access to contacts and messages? This is not my car, so I'm going to say no to that one. Obviously, if it was yours, you could say yes, but I'm now fully connected over the Android. So I'll be able to make phone calls, and then I've got media options. Now, because there are multiple phones connected, I'd be able to have first to connect. So if both phones are in the vehicle, who's it going to try to connect to first? You can disconnect, or you can completely forget the phone, but tapping on your phone here brings you up to all of this information inside of whatever phone you're connected. You can sort contacts different ways and things like that, and tapping this brings you back up to this screen. If you wanted to delete devices, just hit option, disconnect, or forget, and forget. Same idea, let's remove this one, forget and forget. 3, 2, 1, you're fully disconnected, but it's that easy setting up Android and iPhone devices inside of the Optiq. You've got a series of different controls available, so you could open up the glove box that way. You can toggle on your overhead dome lighting there if you'd like. You could turn off the power to the rear windows. There's a button push in order to get into your 360 camera. You could turn traction control on or off. The only time you want to worry about turning that one off is if you're not getting any sort of wheel traction. Auto Park Assist gives you help with parallel perpendicular parking. The Park Assist here is the sensing system, so that beeping that you get as you get closer to obstacles. And then you've also got the charge port door. You can open that up or close it if you'd like. And then a series of more controls. So you've got your windows and doors. You could lock if you'd like to, open up the glove box, open up the charge door, and then you've also got options for the liftgate height. You can set a custom height if you'd like to. So if your garage doesn't open up past a certain point, you can hit the button along the tailgate if you wanted to be able to set it to a unique height. Different options for lights, which we've seen. Some different drive options, so turning traction control off, lane assistance on, off, and then your one pedal drive. Lane assistance, if the vehicle recognizes the lane markings, you start to veer over without signaling, it's just going to nudge you back into your lane. There's options for parking, so you've got your park assist, auto park, and then remotes. If you've got a garage door opener at home, you'll be able to program that in. And then options for safety, so locking up those windows. So you'll see a lot of these controls duplicated a boatload of times. There's news available, Spotify, Amazon Music, and then that app that I just installed. So you've got Angry Birds that you can use strictly when you're parked. And that's the same thing. So if you're using the web browser, things like that, you can't use it all the time. You can just use it when you're parked. But I mean, that's kind of neat that if you're just kind of waiting and, there we go. If you're just waiting and kind of killing time, you'd have the flexibility of being able to play games inside of this screen. And that means that next up is all of the available settings. With your connections, that's where you're going in order to be able to adjust your phones, connecting to Wi-Fi networks if you'd like to go that route. Vehicle options are available here too, so audio settings, which we've already seen, so adjusting your sound settings, so treble, mid-range, and bass, things like that. You can manage all of your favorites too, and then the radio text. So if that was available, that would show up right here. From there, you've got your drive mode customization. So in your unique My Mode, you've got the option of adjusting this out. Again, you'll see these settings a few different ways. Teen Driver lets you set up limitations for a key fob. There's the rear seat reminder. So if the second row doors have been opened up, you turn the vehicle off, so you hop out. It's going to remind you inside of the cluster screen to check the back seats. Buckle to drive, you have to be buckled in order to take off initially, but eventually it will let you drive. I'm not a fan of that setting, so I keep it turned off. Climate and air quality gives you a few things. When you go to start the vehicle up, do you want the heated ventilated seats to come on, heated seats on startup, things like that. From there, you've got auto defog, defrost. I recommend just keeping these ones toggled on. Let's see, collision detection systems. You've got different options for alerts, vibrations, and things like that. So with your alert type, if you start to veer over into a lane without signaling, there's something going on from a safety perspective, you actually get a vibration in the seat. It's kind of funky the first few times that it happens, but it's kind of neat to let you know that there's something going on, or you can just have it so that there's just a beep. You've got different options for forward collision. So if you're potentially going to get into an accident, it can give you an alert and brake. It can give you an alert, or it can do nothing. I do recommend at least having the alert on, but the alert and the brake is ideal. Hands down, that's the way that I would recommend going. If you don't have it turned on, you can see inside of the cluster screen, you'll get a little icon there. So to toggle that icon on, just make sure you've got that safety system enabled. You've got front pedestrian braking. So if a pedestrian jumps in front of the vehicle, it can brake for you, give you an alert, or do nothing. Same to do with the intersection. If you put on cruise control, do you want to get that notifier in the cluster? If you're changing lanes, see park assist with braking. So as you're backing up, if there's an obstacle behind you, it can automatically brake for you. Cross traffic alert. So when you're in reverse, if there's somebody coming perpendicular, so from the left or the right side, it can let you know of a possible collision as well. Similarly, it can brake for you, it can give you an alert, or it can do nothing. And then if there's a pedestrian that's crossing behind you there as you're backing up, it can let you know. Comfort and convenience, the volumes that you get, what level do you want them to be at? You can set a unique height for the liftgate if you'd like to. So do you want it just opened up as far as it can? Do you want to toggle the power gate off as well? See, with the reverse mirror, do you want to have the passenger, the driver's side, or both of them tilt down? So when you put yourself into reverse, you'll see that mirror tilt down. Put yourself back into park in order to have that side mirror pop up. I'm personally not a fan of having that one enabled, but you can go either way. When you go to lock the vehicle, do the windows fold in for you? And then there's rain sensing wipers. Attention assist, so if you start to veer over too many times without signaling, if you're kind of teetering off, if you're yawning too much, etc., the vehicle can let you know that you should probably take a break, but you could toggle that system off if you'd like. Options for lighting, so there's exterior choreography available here, which looks kind of neat, so you can have it dynamic, so it gives you a light dance, or just kind of turns them on. The choreography looks kind of neat though. Power door locks, when you go to unlock, is it all doors that become unlocked, or strictly the driver's door? Remote lock unlock, when you unlock the door, do you want to get some sort of a light feedback? When you lock, do you want to get light and horn? It's just a light or a horn. I normally would recommend light and horn, but matter of preference there. When you remote door unlock, who becomes unlocked? When you remote start through the fob, do the heated ventilated seats come on automatically based on the temperature? There's remote window operation too. And then, let's see, you've got your passive door lock, unlock, etc. So as you walk towards the vehicle, can unlock the doors, lock the doors as you walk away, etc. And then some different key reminders. But let's hop outside and I'll show you how some of these ones work. In order to remote start, all you're going to do is push the lock button once and that circle button twice within a few seconds. So lock, circle twice. See there, the car, you can see the lights come on. It's now started. In order to cancel the remote start, just push and hold that circle button once and saw that little light dance. Remote start's now canceled. You can use the key fob in order to be able to open up the trunk door if you want to, so just double push. There's also the option for a hands-free liftgate. With the hands-free option, once the door is shut, got the vehicle locked, or even not, walk up towards the back end and the door is going to automatically open up for you. It's a great setting. Then you've got the option of using the key fob in order to roll the windows up and down. In order to roll them down, you double push the unlock button. So you're going to go 1, 2, and hold. Wait for it to roll down. There we go. You can release at that point. all 4 windows. And then to lock, you can do the opposite. So just push the lock button twice and hold on the second press. You're gonna go 1, 2, and hold. Up they go. So that is pretty neat. I love that the remote window operation is both down and back up again. And then you've got options for your seating position. So there's driver's seat entry and exit memory. So you've got your driver's seat memory that's available here, but the entry exit memory. So when you go to get out of the vehicle, it's going to lower the seat and back it up for you to get in and out a little bit easier. And then you can put yourself into transport mode. Different options for notifications. You can toggle all of the notifications off if you never want to get any notifications at all. You can adjust out the date and time. So do you prefer to be in that military time? You can look at different time zone options and then date and time. So these are grayed out because you're in the auto mode. So if you deselect the auto mode, you could then set your own unique time zone. So if you live somewhere where you straddle a time zone and it constantly flips you one to the other, you can lock it in to any time zone if you like. That's the same thing, adjusting the date and time. There are some options for the display. So auto mode means that it's going to change it between the light or the dark mode, just depending on how bright it is outside, but you can lock it in to any of the modes. The driver's display, do you want to get your turn-by-turn directions inside of the cluster screen there? If you weren't on the map mode, it would show up along the right side. Do you want to have your traffic sign recognition on the very bottom? Yay versus nay. And then you could toggle the display off completely if you'd like to. Double tap to bring it back on again. There are some basic options for sounds, so you can adjust out different volume levels for everything. Do you want your audio volume to be something different, your ringtone volumes, your voice assistant, navigation volumes, and things like that? Love that you can adjust this out. And then maximum limiter. So if the audio is cranked, you turn the vehicle off, so you get out, hop back in, it's going to limit it at whatever volume that you've got set here. Profiles are available here too, so I'm currently signed into my Gmail account there. You could delete the profile if you'd like to. Different options for privacy, nothing overly exciting here. There's an ads manager, which I mean is a little concerning long term, but I've never seen ads in any vehicle that I've driven yet. There are some basic accessibility options, so closed caption options available there. Assistant and voice, you've got your digital assistant there. You can have it listen for this now. So rather than hitting the voice command prompt and having it launch, you can now say, "Hey Google." Then you'd be able to do things like change songs, radio stations, navigate, change the climate, make phone calls, and things like that. Simple. Security information, where you could put in a profile lock. Again, very good from a general safety perspective. There are a series of system information options. So language, you can be in either English, French, or Spanish. You can adjust at the keyboard type. You can adjust your measurement units. So do you want to be in either metric or US? So you can see there, it adjusts everything as you go one way or the other. So it's adjusting your current miles, kilometers for your total range, your odometer, things like that. And even the climate down low gets adjusted as you move between US or metric. You've got different reset options that are available here too. So you can do a full reset of the vehicle settings. You can erase the infotainment data. So if the vehicle is giving you problems, the screen specifically, you can do a full reset. There is a way to do a soft reboot too. I'll show you towards the end of the walkthrough on the infotainment system. You can restart in safe mode. So if you've downloaded apps to the vehicle and that might be the cause, you can do a restart in safe mode, which disables any apps that you've installed. You can remove them at that point and see if that was the issue. Storage info, and then legal info. And if the screen's giving you problems, so let's say your phone's not working, maps aren't working, or it's just glitching out, you can do the full factory reset if you want to. But the downside of doing the reset is that it's going to reset everything. So reset all of your infotainment data. You can try to restart in safe mode this way too. I mean, you could do it. It's kind of tough to do this on the fly as you're driving. So what you actually want to do a soft screen reboot, on the steering wheel, you've got this little hang up button. You're going to push and hold that for a few seconds. It's about 10 to 12 seconds or so, and then you're going to get something happening inside of the infotainment system. Just keep on hanging on, and eventually, there we go. You can enter recovery mode, do a full factory reset, or nothing. Do nothing. I know you're going to want to touch the buttons, but just leave it alone for a second. You can enter recovery mode, again, to get rid of any sort of apps that you've added in. But from here, just pause. After a few seconds, look at that. So it's gone through and it's doing a soft reboot cycle. So it's the same thing as if you were restarting your cell phone, removing the cache, so it should get rid of issues that you're having. So if your phone's not connecting, if maps aren't working, whatever the case may be, you're gonna start there. So do the soft reboot first. If that doesn't work, do the full reset. If that doesn't work, you'll have to bring it into your Cadillac dealer. We've got some basic cup holders there. There's an armrest with your wireless charge pad here. So you just, with this closed, you can even just drop your phone in there in order to charge up. You're gonna find a 12-volt power point down there with a few USB power points too. Along the side, your basic vent controls there, assist handle, auto-dimming rear view mirror with, look at that, fully digital rear view. You can adjust things out, make it brighter, darker, zoom in, zoom out. You can move it up or down as necessary. Or just flip and go old school, but this is auto dimming too. So if somebody's flashing their high beams later on at night, it's gonna dim down for you automatically. Got your SOS, OnStar, tow modes, 4-way blinkers, and then you've also got controls for your sunshade. And like full panoramic roof, it just opens things up so nicely. And one downside is that you can't open up the roof, but you can at least pop these open, like this whole thing open. Oh, if you just wanted to open things up a little bit. Got a little camera mounted on the top there. There's a little ticket receipt holder on the outside. Vanity mirror has lights built in here too. And then this stretches out to block all of the sun that's hitting your face. Man, look at this, speakers all over the place. And the audio quality inside of the ride is fantastic. But overall, the first row of the Optiq is nice. It's been comfortable, incredibly quiet on highways, interstates too. It would be nice if this popped open a bit, but yeah, it just opens things up nicely. Hold on, let's look at the second row. Okay, so along the door, you've got that same kind of material along the upper part. I like that metallic highlight and the galvanized handle here. I didn't point that in the first row. I love the feel of that. You've got your window controls, lock unlock with some storage. Now the seats here for the second row, these are all locked into place. So there's no way that you can adjust them. You can fold them down if you want to along the top, but spacing wise back here. So with the driver's seat set up for myself being 6 feet tall, inside of the second row, I've got some foot space and knee space, which is great. Head space though, tight. So without me kind of moving, like sitting forward, I'm 6 feet tall, I can't fit back here. So if I was maybe 5'8", I'd probably say 5'8", maybe 5'9" would kind of be like the max height, because if you're sitting too high up, get into an accident, not gonna be good. But if you've got kids, all of the anchor points are there. Top tether points are behind the seats if you need them. There's some cup holders. Ooh, with a little light, that's cute. That's not normal, that usually isn't there. But you've got some cup holders built right into the seats there. And then there's also a little handle and a light. Down low, you're gonna find heated outboard seats for the second row there. So strictly for the outboard. So the middle seat here would just never be heated. There's some USB power points, a regular wall plug in the back, and then there's also some storage, a little bit of storage down low. You're gonna find a map pocket behind both the passenger and the driver's side, and then a little handle and a little light. The rear end styling of the Optiq is pretty neat. You're gonna find a little spoiler up over top. The LED lamps inside of the ride are kind of set up pretty neat. The style of them is different. There's glossy black all over the place back here, and technology-wise, you're gonna find the reverse park sensing system along with 2 different cameras. So there's a lower cam, which is a backup cam as part of that 360 view. And then just above that, there's another one above the Cadillac badge, and that one is going to be for the available fully digital rear view mirror too. Towing is available inside of the Optiq. You're maxing out at 1,500 pound towing capacity. So it's not a lot, but a small trailer, maybe a small boat is okay. But just go in knowing if you're towing inside of any electric, it's going to negatively impact your overall range, just depending on how much you tow. And then getting into the trunk of the ride can be done so many different ways. There's a button just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel. You can use the Keyfob to do it. Just above the backup camera, you've got the Cadillac badge. You can actually push on that badge in order to open it up. And then there's the available hands-free liftgate. So as long as you've got the key fob on you, all you're gonna do is walk up to the back end, hit this like sweet spot, hands-free trunk, I love it. I like this better than the foot activated because if the sensors are covered in snow, ice, etc., this is still gonna open up, which is great. Along the left side, you're gonna find a little light and a 12-volt power point. Along the right-hand side is a light and then a speaker in the back too. And there are speakers just behind both of the rear seats too. You are going to find a little cargo shield in the back, and it's spring-loaded, so you can easily remove it. And there's a storage tray back here too, and popping that up, this is where I'm storing the charge cable right now. So 20-foot charge cable, support for level 1 and for level 2 right from the factory. You're not going to find a spare tire inside of the Optiq, but you will find self-sealing tires. So if you puncture a tire, you should be okay, but you still might want to take it in for service. If you ever lock yourself out, your batteries died, etc., you do have access to roadside assistance. Just one of the added benefits of being a Cadillac owner. Folding down the second row seats, if you can't reach it from the trunk, can easily be done from the second row. But along the trunk here, it's a 60-40 bench, so 60 on the driver, 40 on the passenger. Just gonna push the button there in order to drop that seat down. And there is a solid amount of space inside of this ride. The cargo measurements that you're looking at, the ones specifically behind the first row, go from right where that trunk door would close to just in behind the little armrest between the first row seats. So if the driver's seat, passenger seat were forwards or backwards, you'd gain or lose a little bit of extra space. But there is a solid amount of space inside of this ride, and that's why I'm kind of okay with it not having a frunk, is because of all of the space that you get inside of this car. Easily load this up. And then one nice thing about the liftgate is that if it opens up too high for your garage, you can literally lift it up or down as necessary. Find that sweet spot. There's a button on the outside there you're just gonna push and hold. And now it won't open up past that point, which I think is pretty useful. And then just button push to close. Nice and smooth driving. No complaints there. So far, I have to say overall, I am a big fan of the Optiq. It's a comfortable drive, it's a fun drive. Ooh, it's nice. Nice and responsive, especially just in the regular drive mode. And oh, there's a truck there. Ooh, sad. A little en route handling here. Oh, it's unfortunate. I'd love to open her up. Do what I can. Yeah, that's good. That's fun. Sportiness is there, nice and responsive. I do like how quiet this car is. Now hold on, I'm only going 60 kilometers an hour right now, so I'll open it up in just a second just to kind of see. But when I pick this one up, highway driving, incredibly quiet. So it'd be nice to get that on camera here. Here we go. Oh yeah. Incredibly quiet inside of this ride. This is great. You get like the tiniest little bit by the seam here, but I mean, outside of that, I love this. Quiet, the seat's nice and comfortable. I love the Super Cruise, the hands-free driving capability that you've got inside of this ride. And that was everything you needed to know about the Cadillac Optiq. You can find all of the build details for this one down in the description, along with links off to Cadillac Canada and US. But if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone if you think they might find it helpful. And until I see you next time, take care. Then closing, you could grab this and manhandle if you like, but there's a button along the top you can push. Oh, of course it doesn't close. Under the hood, audio sync up. Under the hood. Oh damn, I just closed it.